Hey everybody, this is Dark Guardsman, and we're back with another short video here. So I'm working on another commission mod. It's something I kind of have to do to make sure I get a small income to pay bills and etc, etc. But ignoring that, it's a really simple mod. I just want to show it off to kind of show different possibilities of things that I'm able to create and things that we can introduce into the other mods we do work on. Now this project, which is these blue little cubes, ignore the textures. Obviously when I do some of these commission mods, I don't always do artwork for them, simply because the client can do their own artwork or will customize whatever they're making or whatever I'm making for them to fit the mod that this will inevitably go into, as this is not meant to be a singular piece of content, or I would have probably inevitably ended up doing actual texture work for it and stuff. Now what this block is, and some people probably already guessing what it is based on the wire connections, that it could be a power converter or something else. This is actually an energy cube. It's really simple. I still have a bit more work to it. One, I gotta remove some of this derpiness where it's really quickly flickering. That's kind of unsettling and needs to be fixed. Two, I've got to add an energy bar to it, which means I think I need to move these slots out a little bit further. These are meant to be a charging and discharge slot for the battery box, of course. And I wanted to render a battery bar right between it with, of course, some numbers over top of it, although I may reconsider how I do these numbers. I may just get rid of them altogether if they're going to be that derpy. But for this being a battery box, it does support FE energy, which automatically gives it access to RFs, assuming you're using thermal expansion, and if another mod is using RF, then it also supports forge energy built into it. So that will basically cover mechanism energy cubes and thermal expansion. I don't have thermal expansion to test, but it should work. Actual dishes should also work. There's a whole spew of mods that use forge energy that should work. So we can input in this. We can then also output the BuiltCraft energy, which was not the easiest thing in the world to do, and I don't know if I've got it perfectly done because it is working, but we're not seeing any of the rendering. I'm assuming because BuiltCraft is currently in alpha for 1.12, this is not going to work perfectly, which I forgot to mention, this is 1.12 by the way. So this is actually working. We do have energy transferring back and forth. It works for IC2. The IC2 support does work, although it's also a little finicky. The reason behind this is because when it comes to using cables for IC2 energy, the cables themselves move the power and not the machine. So when it comes to how mechanism cables work, how my own cables work, and how BuiltCraft cables work, is that you dump energy into the system and then it outputs into the next tile and so on and so on. IC2 is a little bit different. It will allow you to directly dump to a machine connected to it, but if you want to get energy into the wire, you have to say that you're an emission source that will then emit energy from the block. So rather, it's this wire will take energy from here and dump it over to here and so on and so on. So there is a limited flow rate because of that, because I'm outputting for tier 1 simply so I don't blow up machines that are connected to these boxes right now. The client could figure out how he wants to handle that on his own end when he actually gets his content and does whatever with it. But so we can get power to the cube. Power actually does flow. It's a little slower to get into these ones. Unfortunately, we're not going to see energy pop up in this one because by the time it gets into here, it's already being thrown out to the next box, and that's already being thrown out to the next box. But we can watch this slowly build up energy-wise. The cube itself is pretty simple. It's just a very basic cube with a texture on it. You can right-click it with a stick to get energy out of it, and then you can click it with a blaze rod, which will eventually be replaced with a wrench or something else when it gets to the client's hands. But you can set the side, so you can set it to output, input, disconnect, etc. This works per side. This is saved. This is energy wrapped too, so it does work really well. The BuiltCraft support is also energy wrapped. The IC2 support is not. It's actually done through interfaces because IC2 is not updated to the modern age with capabilities. I don't know whenever they'll get around to that, but when they do get around to that, it will also be wrapped properly and everything else. But yeah, a simple enough block there. It does handle incredibly well, and it's a rather simple piece of content that I could easily recreate for more mods in the future. It's using... For the power system, it's pretty much using a bastardized version of the power system I use for VoltsEngine and ICBM Classic, which is that kind of universal power system that I developed for UE4 way back in the day. So it's using something like that. It does use some network code for the GUIs, and it has some GUI handling and everything else. But on the base core, it's pretty much just a tile entity with an energy storage buffer in it that then returns on the capability that says it has an energy buffer, and the rest of the work is kind of handled there. There is some very minor logic, and I would be showing code right now, but I don't want to show code because it's a commission. Anyways, I'll leave you guys here, and see you guys next time with more content updates.